Well, this is you. In the beehive, terms like free will, ambition, and independence are like garbage, meaningless. Your life, your future, your career, and even the time you will live depend on the type of egg you emerge from, and luck. The worst possibility is that your egg is unfertilized egg. After 24 days and after several molts, you will emerge from the wax brood cell as a fully developed male bee, or what is called a drone. And despite your wonderful name and your large size compared to worker bees, you are useless. You do not have the necessary organs to collect nectar and pollen and make honey, such as a long tube-shaped tongue to suck nectar, nor a pollen basket on your hind leg to collect pollen, and you do not have a stinger to defend the hive, even if you tried.
Huh?
Even you cannot feed yourself on your own and depend on worker bees for that. But you have one special organ. You guessed it, it's your penis. You also have long hind legs suitable for your only task in the hive, which is to mate with the queen. On a calm and beautiful day, usually in spring or summer, the queen bee begins to fly outside and releases pheromones that attract drone bees from the hive and neighboring hives in what is known as the wedding flight or nuptial flight. She flies quickly and the drones chase her. A large number of them die in flight, and only the strong drones are able to catch up with her. One of them surrounds her with his legs and begins mating. And just like you when he finishes, his muscles relax. So the queen is able to break free and begin flying quickly again, pulling the poor male behind her until his penis is torn apart along with some of his internal organs, and he dies. This process is repeated more than once in order to obtain the largest possible amount of semen and store it in an organ called the spermatheca. The surviving males become a burden on the hive, so the worker bees stop feeding them, expel them, or even kill them in a phenomenon known as the male massacre. Even the coming generations of males are like excess blood. If there is less food in the hive, they are killed. If the number of bees in the hive increases, they are killed. If the temperature rises, they are killed. If the queen wakes up in a bad mood, you guessed it, they are killed. Well, this is a bit of an exaggeration. In fact, the workers often expel them and do not kill them, but they eventually die from hunger and weather conditions. But if you are lucky and your egg is fertilized egg and the mother queen bee happens to be old, or if the number of bees in the hive increases significantly, or she no longer exists for any reason, the worker bees transfer about 20 fertilized eggs to special cells called queen cells, and when they turn into larvae, they are fed exclusively with royal jelly, which is a food produced by the workers that is rich in protein and nutrients. This diet is the only thing that makes you a queen, and without it, you would be an ordinary worker bee. Royal jelly contributes to the queen's larger size, the complete development of her reproductive organs, and her ability to lay eggs and release pheromones. The first thing you will do after leaving the brood cell as a virgin queen is to kill and expel all the other candidates and even kill the queens that are not yet fully developed. After about 3 days, you emerge from the hive for the first and often the last time to perform the nuptial flight in which mating with the males takes place. After you successfully return from flying, the worker bees clean you of the male reproductive organs stuck inside you. And if the old queen is not present, you will start laying eggs directly. But if she is still there are several possibilities. The first possibility is that the old queen will take a swarm of worker bees and drones about a half of the hive and leave in order to establish a new hive in another place. This process is called swarming and does not occur unless the number of individuals in the hive is large enough to allow this, and the old queen is still able to lay eggs efficiently. The second possibility is that the queen is old and no longer able to lay eggs efficiently. So the workers launch a military coup against her and kill her by gathering around her and flapping their wings at high speeds, which raises the queen's temperature and cooks her alive. The third possibility is that if you are merciful, you will allow her to isolate herself in one of the corners of the hive and leave her until she dies a few days later because the workers will stop feeding her. After getting rid of the old queen, you begin to lay eggs and release pheromones with which you control the hive and prevent them from raising other queen bees and prevent the worker bees from forming fully developed ovaries and laying eggs. You continue to lay eggs at a rate of about 2,000 eggs per day, and you determine whether they are fertilized or unfertilized using the semen you keep in the spermatheca. You live from 3 to 5 years until your turn comes, as it was for the previous queen. But if your egg is fertilized and the conditions are not prepared for you to become a queen, after several molts, you will emerge from the wax brood cell after 21 days as a worker bee, like most of the 30 to 60,000 bees in the hive. You are a female with incomplete reproductive organs, so it's not your job to lay eggs, but pretty much everything else is. And you will assume your duties in the beehive gradually depending on your age. You emerge from the brood cell as a complete worker bee, pale, wet, and with drooping wings. Due to your weakness, you remain still and embrace the brood cells containing the larvae, working to warm them. Meanwhile, you do not eat the honey and pollen stored in the wax cells, but rather obtain your food by begging from your older sisters as a result of the weakness of your jaw muscles. Well, it doesn't happen like that, but the older bee extends its tongue towards your tongue and a drop emerges from its crop and you lick it off. During this time, you also clean the cell from which you emerged so that it is ready for the queen to lay a new egg in it. But if the queen inspects the cell and does not like your work, you will be forced to repeat the cleaning again. You remain in this state for 3 days until your jaw muscles strengthen and you begin to depend on yourself for nutrition, as you devour large amounts of pollen and honey. On day 3 to day 12 of your life, you will be called the nurse bee, and you will know why now. On the 3rd to 5th day of your life, you begin to produce honey bread, which is a mixture of honey, pollen, and water, on which the large bee larvae that are more than 3 days old feed, except for the queen larvae, if any. On the 5th day of your life, your body begins to produce what is called royal jelly, which is what small larvae feed on from 1 to 3 days old, and queen larvae throughout the brood period, if any. You also offer it to the queen, so she extends her proboscis into your mouth to feed on it. You also take care of the queen, clean her, and care for her, and you unintentionally spread her pheromones through which she controls the hive. The pharyngeal glands that secrete royal jelly begin to gradually atrophy, and your rectum is filled with waste, so you begin to exit the hive for the first time. The purpose of your exit is to make short exploratory flights, where you fly in a circle around the hive until you identify the signs and the area surrounding you, and you also carry out the process of emptying the rectum outside the hive, as bees never defecate inside the hive. When the royal jelly glands dry up, you move from above the brood comb to the honeycomb adjacent to the entrance to the hive, where you meet the older workers returning from their visit to the flowers laden with nectar and pollen. You and the small workers take the nectar drop by drop and begin to transform it and produce honey through special enzymes that you possess in your mouth and your honey stomach. You hand the honey to another bee to store it in cells designated for storing honey, then she cools it and gets rid of the moisture in it with her wings. Then she closes the cell with wax to preserve it. Also, you store pollen grains in specially designated cells. When you reach 12 days old, you transform from a nurse bee into a construction worker. As a result of your previous conversion of nectar into honey, your body absorbs large amounts of sugars, and your wax glands, which are located on both sides of your abdomen from below, mature and develop. You begin to secrete wax in the form of husks, which you chew to soften and use to build and repair the honey and brood combs. When the wax glands dry up around the 18th day of your life, you move from construction work to cleaning and guarding. You clean the hive and ventilate it, and you also throw the larvae and dead bees out of the hive to prevent infection and contamination. At other times, you stand at the entrance to the hive and guard it. And like any security guard, you prevent intruders and thieves, defend the hive, bully the males, and things like that. What are you going to do, huh? You don't even have a stinger. I have another type of stinger, if you understand what I mean, and I can stab you with it, but that will be of no use. Motherfucker, get out of my face before I kill you. Sometimes you notice a strange honeybee approaching, but it carries nectar and pollen with it, so you allow it to enter. I think you have no objection to accepting bribes from time to time. You also allow strange males to pass through, as they do not pose a threat in prosperity times. Well, not until they get a welcome gift from you. You can go now. The hive is sometimes attacked by some creatures that seek to steal honey, such as some other types of bees, some types of birds, wasps, and mammals. When an attack occurs, all members of the beehive participate in defending it. Well, except for the males. They do not have stingers, as we said. Bees use stingers to attack enemies, but unfortunately, unlike the queen, when worker bees sting, part of their body comes off along with the stinger, and they die. There are several other techniques by which the bees defend the hive, such as gathering around the attackers and flapping their wings at a very high speed, to the point that it raises the temperature by several degrees Celsius, thus cooking the attacker alive. So this method is called the defensive hot bee ball, but this method also has its cost. And if you are among the victims, do not wait for a burial ceremony or a military funeral. Rather, your body will be thrown out of the hive like a garbage bag. When you are 21 days old, you are called foraging bees, and you begin to undertake tasks outside the hive, such as collecting nectar, pollen, water, and other important things for the hive for the rest of your life, which is not a long period. Worker bees live only 40 to 50 days, or 5 months in winter at the latest, all of which they spend serving the hive. While you are preparing for your first mission outside the hive, you are surprised by a forager bee that enters the hive and begins dancing. Poor bee, she has lost her mind. What? She shows us where the nectar and flowers are. Come on. You go out with a large group of foraging bees to collect nectar and pollen, and this is where the real danger begins. While you are heading to the nectar sites, suddenly you are attacked by a bird, and one of the bees is eaten, and now the bird is heading towards you quickly. You try to escape quickly and rush between the dense tree branches to hide, but unfortunately, you are not able to notice the spider web in front of you, so you get stuck in it. The spider approaches you, so you try with all your strength to get out of the web, and fortunately for you, you succeed this time. Oh, fuck! But suppose you survive and reach the places where the nectar is located. The danger is not over yet. Sometimes when the temperature rises in the summer, the nectar in the flowers ferments and turns into alcohol. If you suck this type of nectar, you get drunk and may fall and be unable to fly. And you may die for any reason in this situation. Even if you succeed in reaching the hive, the guards will not allow you to enter and will expel you, and they may tear you apart because drunk bees may cause massive destruction to the entire hive. But don't worry, these are a few cases. You can start sucking the nectar, collecting pollen, and storing it in special pockets in your back legs called the pollen basket. As you move from one flower to another, you contribute to spreading the pollen grains that are stuck in the hairs of your body through electrical charges. These same charges are what attract scraps of paper when you rub a pen with your hair and bring it close to them. When you finish your task, you return to the hive with the nectar and pollen, and the process of making and storing honey begins by the younger bees. Sometimes the temperature of the hive rises, so you have to go out to bring water on your back and evaporate it using your wings to cool the hive. Drones sometimes participate in this task, practically turning from a man into a fan. One day, the hive is subjected to a major attack by a group of wasps, and after a violent battle during which a large number of bees fall, you and the other bees are able to get rid of the danger. While examining the bodies, you are surprised that the queen is among the victims. The queen is dead! Chaos spreads in the hive, and some bees begin to leave. You decide to play the role of the hero and act and solve the problem. So you immediately transfer some fertilized eggs to the queen cells. And after the brood period passes, the new queen emerges from the cell and goes to mate. You feel proud of yourself and stand in the typical hero pose, happy with what you have achieved. Get back to work, you lazy bee. Imagine that you wake up one day to find yourself born as an ant. There are three possibilities. Either you are born as a queen, your mission is to eat and lay eggs, or as a male, live a short life, your mission is to eat and mate, and you die shortly afterward. Or the worst possibility is to be born as a female worker. You're not even a complete female, you can't lay eggs. But you are not a lucky person, so you are born as a worker in the colony. You live the first weeks of your life in comfort, eating to transform from a larva into an adult. And this is the only comfort you will get. Once you become an adult, you assume your duties in the colony, including cleaning and caring for the queen and larvae, feeding them, transporting eggs, and more. As days pass, you become old enough to go outside the colony to collect food. And because you are an ant, you are on the menus of many other animals and insects. So throughout your search for food, you look around to avoid danger. You do not want to be caught by a bird or attacked by a spider. But suddenly, you fall into a hole that you did not notice, and you discover that this hole was made by an insect called the antlion, and he is now sitting in the center of it, throwing grains of sand at you to make you fall while you are trying to hold on and struggle to get out of the hole by all means. Lots of drama and horror that doesn't matter to anyone but you. In the end, you get tired of trying, give up, and fall to be eaten by the antlion. And when he finishes with you, he throws your skeleton out of the hole. But if you don't fall into the hole in the first place, you will continue your dangerous journey in search of food. But it is possible that on your trip, you will meet another unfriendly insect called the assassin bug. This insect will inject you with enzymes that dissolves your internal organs so that it can absorb it like juice. But this is not the only benefit from you. It takes your skeleton and pastes it on its back to make it appear larger and avoid attacks by other insects. Even if the other insect decides to attack, the only thing it will get is a pile of dry skeletons, including you. But if on your journey, you do not encounter any killer bugs, antlions, spiders, or any of these dangers, and you find a substance on the ground, then you decide to taste it and you like it. But then you discover that it is snail vomit, but it tastes sweet, so you eat it. This was a stupid decision. As time passes, you feel sick. You are now carrying the larvae of the liverworm. The snail was the first host, and you are now the second host in the worm's life cycle. The larvae settle in your brain, control it, and force you to go out to grassy places so that any herbivorous animal can eat you. Thus, the larvae reach the animal's liver, transform into a worm, and lay eggs. The eggs come out with the animal's waste, and the snail feeds on the animal's waste. Once the eggs hatch, the snail vomits the substance containing the larvae, and this substance is eaten by the ants. So the larvae control them, and the animal eats it, and so on. But if you did not decide to eat this substance and found better food and decided to return to the colony, and on the way you encounter a friendly ant that wants from you a portion of the food that you ate and stored in your social stomach and not in your regular stomach. Since you are an ant, you have two stomachs, one of which is for storing and transporting food, and the other is a normal stomach. Also, since you are an ant, your eyesight is weak. So the only way you recognize friends is through your antennae, and indeed, he touches your antennae and gives you a sign that he is a friend. So you give him some of the food stored in your stomach for the larvae. You have just been scammed and deceived. This is not a friend, and it is not even an ant. It is a type of fly that deceives ants and steals their food. After you lose the food you collected, and on your way back to the colony, you feel a sting, and you look around and see nothing but the executioner fly, the smallest fly in the world flying away. So you do not care and return to the colony, but you feel very sick and that something is moving inside you. This fly injected you with its eggs, and they hatched inside you and turned into larvae that ate you from the inside. And within days of suffering, you can now rest forever. After 2 weeks, these larvae reach the head and begin to eat it. And after a full month, these larvae turn into flies and emerge from the head in a scene from horror movies. But if you can avoid this sad scenario from the beginning and arrive at the colony safely, after a full day of exhausting work, you will have the opportunity to take a simple nap for a few minutes and then return to work. But as soon as you fall asleep, you suddenly wake up to a voice telling you, "Wake up, son! We are under attack! The colony needs you!"
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early
Go back and fight, you coward! You do not find any way to avoid combat. So you enter a battle with the enemy with a high probability of death. And if you die, you will not receive honors, burial ceremonies, or a military funeral. But your body will be turned into lunch for the rest of the colony. This was my friend! And this is the ultimate sacrifice. But some species of ants take the concept of sacrifice to the next level. Explosive ants in Malaysia, when the colony is attacked, behave suicidal. For the colony! He explodes himself at the attackers. Do not get me wrong, this explosion is not fire and flame, but rather the ant's internal entrails in its large stomach. When it is subjected to great pressure, it explodes and forms a green substance that hinders the movement of the attackers. But back to you. If you and the rest of the colony are able to repel the attack this time, some of the attackers are too strong to be confronted. These dangerous events are routine tasks in your life that are repeated day after day. After you become old and have lived a long life for 2 full years, or sometimes less, and you want to have some calm and a comfortable retirement, one of the colony members comes to you and says your mission to defend the colony is not over yet. And while you are standing guarding the entrance to the colony, you remembered an old prophecy that you had heard about since childhood, about the doomsday of ants and the yellow death that would descend from the sky. Suddenly, without warning, you found that the prophecy was now being fulfilled. You looked at the sky and found the yellow death descending from it. Bravely, you decide to block the entrance to the colony with your body and say your last heroic words. I am not afraid of death. I have fought alongside brave ants in great battles, and I have fought strong enemies who deserve respect. I have lived a true life. What an epic end. This is you. It seems that you are not alone, but let's start from the beginning. This female mosquito searches for a suitable place to lay its eggs. It could be a pond of stagnant water, a swamp, or even a water tank or an old swimming pool. What is important is that there is water in it. Some types of mosquitoes lay eggs scattered one by one, and some other types lay a group of eggs and stick them together in the form of a raft consisting of 50 to 300 eggs at a time, depending on the type. The eggs hatch quickly in most species, after about 2 to 3 days, and here you are, a newly hatched mosquito larva. The first thing you need to do is to remember that you are not a fish. You need to breathe air. So you quickly return to the surface of the water to breathe, but you do not breathe through your mouth, but through your butt. Not exactly, but there is a tube extending from your back door called a siphon, which you take out from the surface of the water in order to breathe. When you are threatened, you close it and quickly dive down by a wriggling motion and flap your entire body in an S shape. So you are called Wriggler. You also dive to get food. You feed on algae, microorganisms, aquatic plants, and organic debris found in the water. But you better be careful, because you yourself are food for small fish, frog tadpoles, and even dragonfly larvae and larger mosquitoes larvae, such as the elephant mosquito. You continue in this state, breathing, eating, and avoiding being eaten for a period ranging from 7 to 10 days, during which you go through 4 molts, and each time your size increases slightly until the 4th molt occurs, and then you officially enter the pupal stage. At this stage, you are not feeding, but you stay most of the time near the surface of the water, breathing air through a pair of respiratory trumpets that emerge from your upper body. You are very sensitive to any movement around you, and if disturbed, you swim down by flipping your body with jiggly acrobatic movements. And this is what earned you the name Tumbler. After 2 to 3 days or more, depending on the species, you emerge from the pupa and finally become an adult female mosquito, and emerge on the surface of the water in a scene as if from a movie. You stay on the surface for a while until your body and wings dry, and you are ready to fly. You have a very short lifespan, ranging from a week to a month, and as a result, the first thing on your priority list is reproduction. In some types of mosquitoes, the males wait for the females at the surface of the water and mate immediately after the pupae turn into adults, even before they can fly. As for you, after your wings dried, you began to fly and search for a partner to mate using the pheromones that both males and females spread alike. After the process is completed, you begin to search for your first meal. Contrary to what is common, there are more than 3,000 known species of mosquitoes, only 200 of which feed on blood. And of these 200 species, only females feed on it, which they need to obtain the protein necessary to form eggs. They don't do this for fun or to annoy humans, but they are forced to do so for the survival of the species. In addition, most species and all males feed on nectar, honeydew, and plant juices, and are considered plant pollinators, like bees. Hey, how dare you compare this bastard to me? There are species that feed on blood that do not necessarily feed on human blood. Some of them feed on the bodily fluids of other insect larvae and earthworms, and some of them feed exclusively on the blood of animals other than humans. Also, there are small species that parasitize on relatively large mosquitoes and suck from them the blood that they have absorbed from other animals. Go away, you dirty, annoying mosquito! Of course, I'm not saying that you should love mosquitoes. That's not possible because in addition to the inconvenience they cause you, mosquitoes transmit serious diseases such as malaria, dengue fever, Zika virus, elephantiasis, and others, which kill about 700,000 people annually. And this number far exceeds the number of humans who die as a result of other humans. And believe me, we are very good at killing each other. But back to you. You found a cow full of delicious blood. You go straight to it. But suddenly, a hungry dragonfly attacks you. You try to escape as quickly as possible, and he chases you. Fortunately for you, a praying mantis caught it. But unfortunately, this bird notices you and starts chasing you. You manage to escape from him, avoiding this spider, this lizard, and this frog as well. Is there anyone not trying to kill me? Come on! You notice this house and go to it to hide from the rain. Wow, this giant's blood looks delicious. As a mosquito, you use your olfactory system via odor receptors on your antennae and head to locate a host. You can smell the carbon dioxide that comes out during breathing, as well as the smell of sweat and skin oils from a distance ranging from 35 to 170 feet. When you approach a distance of 15 to 50 feet, you use your large compound eyes to determine the host location more accurately. It's not your best feature, but it does the trick. When you reach a distance of 4 feet or less, you feel the host's body heat. Then you have arrived. You use multiple parts of your mouth, which resemble a surgeon's tools, to make a microscopic opening in the skin and insert your proboscis inside. You inject the host with your saliva, which prevents blood clotting and also numbs the microscopic wound sites. In order to absorb as much blood as possible, you will excrete waste and excess water than the body needs. You are practically defecating on the host while absorbing his blood, but you are forced to do so because if you didn't do so, or you were greedy. Fortunately for you, this did not happen, and you started sucking the blood.
Huh?
Hey, I'm trying to make a living here! You stupid giant! Wait, I'm a male! I didn't do anything! You have antennae that enable you to sense any change in airflow, and you also have wings that beat at a tremendous speed of up to 600 times per second. This allows you to maneuver and escape quickly. But from here begins a series of confrontations between you and this human that has no limits. For example, one time he brought in Bug Zapper. How ridiculous, I won't be drawn to that.
Wow.
Hey, stop! I think it works sometimes. And he chases you one time with a fly swatter and another time with an insecticide. But eventually you are able to suck enough blood to begin producing and laying eggs. You lay eggs in batches of 50 to 300 eggs at a time, depending on the species, and you devote the rest of your life to one goal only, which is laying eggs. You may produce about 3,000 eggs during your life, which may last only 1 month, or maybe less.